Okay, I think we are live.
Yep. So, a very, very good evening to all of you. The first mock of this season for CAT 2022 All India Open Mock CAT 1 was made live yesterday at 10 a.m. And we have had a very good response in the sense of the number of test takers as well. We already have 2100 plus people. Jijo, what's the number? 2127 is the number of people who have submitted the paper as of 7:30 today. So I think that's a great number to have in the month of March, any which way. And uh, what it shows is the seriousness with which a lot of you are preparing. Before we get into the discussion of the analysis, actual analysis of what has happened or what has happened in the paper, why don't you people share what are your insights about the paper? कैसा लगा हमारा मजाक?
So,
So
You
put it in the comment box over here in YouTube. Who about what is your feeling about the paper? What was difficult? What was easy
yes,
among?
Karthik. Excited to see you as well.
Karthik Agarwal wants excited to see you, especially love to Jijo. Jijo, you get a disproportionate uh, amount of love, it looks like. RC Coffee tough tha, Sanchit says.
So it says Quan didn't feel easy at all. Difficult laga.
Mazak bahut bhari tha, sir, is what Mohammad Bhora says.
Now imagine ऐसा मजाक आपके साथ अगर सितंबर में होता and you were waiting till September to take the first mock, what would have been your condition then? It's good that you got your realization very early in March so that you have 8 months to prepare and be better.
Ravi, Harsh,
Yep.
Harsh Sharma says very easy mock. I hope he's the topper.
Actual cat paper, Akshata says. Harsh Sharma says, very easy mock. Wow. लिखा ही नहीं
So,
होगा.
so मालूम नहीं लिखा है कि नहीं, but if he
लिखा.
found it easy,
I
then
will
it has
speak.
to be. If, then I guess he would have found it. He would be among the toppers
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
while I've not looked at the English section, I've done the DILR section. If you picked up the first set or the third set, if I remember correctly, you would have wasted a lot of time and still you may or may not have got the correct answers. Two sets were easy, but that was true for CAT 2. If I look at CAT 21, my slot, that is slot 2. Out of the four sets, two sets were definitely doable, two sets of four. So this paper reminded me exactly of CAT 21, where two sets were easy, four questions each, eight done. One set of six questions was again doable, and one set of six questions was very difficult. Not that it
In,
could not have been done, it could have been done with choices, but that is the gradation. And I felt when I was taking this paper, it was exactly like CAT 21, slot 2 DILR paper.
in fact, when I and Shivku were discussing, Shivku is not here today, but when I and Shivku were discussing 2 weeks ago, when we had to decide, take a call on what will be the All India mock cat kind of things, we decided to base it on the theme of cat 2021 slot 2 and slot 3. The type of questions of DILR, at least I think we have managed to pull the show there.
Yeah.
So
So Ravi, I would say you have managed to pull it exactly, make it exactly like CAT 21 time slot because I am a third party to you. I did not see how the paper was being created, so I've just taken the paper. And slot 2, 21, and this paper, I would say, were exactly the same.
right. So
So let me
yeah, Jijo, please share.
kickstart with. Uh, just give me a second.
GST is saying I am a repeater this year, but this mock showed me a new angle.
I'm
Okay.
just ensuring that all the comments which are there coming up so that everybody sees what the comments are.
So so so
What is
so
not
uh,
coming. Yeah,
so so
Jijo.
let me present the slide. At this point in time, I obviously cannot see the screen. I'm looking at the slide, but you guys help me out. So what we're going to discuss is the logic and analysis of the CAT. Of course, a detailed analysis, something that you get on on your aspiration account. We are going to look at a big picture, looking at what this paper was, what was the logic, what could have been done. and specific questions. Of course, all of us have recorded video solutions. I have recorded solution for all the VARC set. You can obviously go and check. So what we will do is we'll do this in two parts. Number one, we'll get into analysis. We will look at the overall one. We'll get into each of this section, and we'll also talk about briefly talk about the 8 months prep plan, given what you have. So let me start with the analysis and starting with the first slide. So this is based on the 2127 submission. I put the score of CAT 2020 here and CAT 2021 here. This got, of course, the scale score. There are three sections. Eventually, they scale it. This is the score of the All India Open Mock CAT number one, and these are the percentile rank. So, uh, uh, any thoughts, guys, in terms of what you see on the screen? GP.
So obviously the scores are on the lower side, and I'm not surprised with that because at this stage where even if you're a repeater, you would be a little out of touch. So your momentum would not have been built even if you're a repeater, and if you are not a repeater, you definitely need to learn how to take the paper. So I would say the scores are along the expected line, that they are lower than what you can see in CAT 2021. And I would say it is mostly an issue of momentum and lack of preparation for many students.
So,
Absolutely, GP. In fact, Jijo, I think given that we are 8 months away from the actual CAT exam, and like we have seen on the comment section also, that it's an eye opener for a lot of people. Time management was not good, strategy was not there probably of how to write. You learn all these things when you keep writing a lot of these mocks. I would suggest, like I agree with Ravi what he says. If this is similar to the CAT 2021 slot 2, slot 3, these marks coming 8 months before the actual CAT, I think it's still commendable, frankly speaking. It's not at all bad. I think those of you who have got, let's say, even 40 marks, getting an 85 percentile, by the time you go headlong into your preparation and put in that right effort, I think easily you can reach that 90, 100 marks without much of an ado.
Right. So essentially, if you look at it, in some cases, it's like very similar in these regards, right? So if I compare that to CAT 2021, so that's a difference of about, I believe, about 4 questions from at this point in time in the preparation. That's what I would look at it. So let me. I think what the first thing is to look at this and say that this is where I'm starting. Good that I know the situation today. We have still 8 months to go. That's a lot of time. These scores will see improvements as we go along the CAT. So let me start with the VARC section. So the first thing that I would want to present is the scores at various percentile. So what you see here is you see here CAT 2021. You see CAT 2020 score. These are of course scale score, and this is this particular CAT score. So, and these are the various percentiles. So for instance, the 99th percentile score in CAT 2021 was 45. The scale score of course CAT 2020 is 42, and the mock CAT 1 score is 39. So the first thing that you see is that the difference between, let's say, the CAT 2020 to this is a difference of one question. One question is 3 marks. That's the difference. Of course, the difference between this to this is slightly more, probably about two questions. So there's a 1 question difference and the 2 questions different. So when you actually look at it, though, eventually many of you would have looked at this particular paper and said that this looks difficult, VRC looks difficult. From what you see in this graph is that this is what even CAT is. So at the 33 a score or a 34 score, which is essentially net 11 questions correct, you are actually hitting about 95th percentile. That's sort of one thing I want to say. Another thing that I would want to say is across board. If you look at if you look at this jump from here to here, this is a 1 question jump, and from here to here, it's a couple of questions jump. 2 question jump from here to here, you'll a couple of questions jump, right? So this is 1 question jump. This is roughly about 1 question jump. So if you can improve 1 question, 1 more question is correct, or a couple of more questions correct, you start seeing improvement kind of in your score. GP arcs, Ravi, anything you would want to add here in this?
No,
In
that's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gijo, from my point of view, nothing more to add.
All right.
One of the things that I wanted to discuss here for a lot of people to understand is that, see, you have 24 questions in verbal and reading comprehension, out of which 16 of them are straight away in your reading comprehension. So understand this, that you're talking about 72 marks available, of which,
I'm sorry. I'll just interrupt there. It is not 16 which is reading comprehension. The two questions of para summary is also reading comprehension to me.
yeah,
So it
actually,
is
if you
18
ask me
out of
that,
20, actually.
three, in
Three
fact,
para.
three para
Three.
Three
summary,
para
three
summary.
para summary. So that makes
So,
it 19.
hmm, hmm.
And we are talking about an 80 percentile or an 85 percentile. When somebody asks, what should I do right now, am I good or not, first reach the 80, 85, 90 percentile first, which means if you look at 90th percentile also or 85th percentile also, it's just 21 marks. That's 7 8 questions. Like sir, GP sir is saying correctly, even if you pick up 2 RCs and the 3 para summaries, you should be able to reach there. You should be able to much more reach there. Don't worry about it. It's a slow improvement, continuous improvement. We will talk about what should you do for 8 months. But the first thing to believe is that, hey, it is very much achievable. You will see similar things for your DILR and quant, saying that doesn't seem to be that tough a paper as it appears, at least when you write the exam. Jijo.
And
Yeah.
just to add to what you said, Args, in fact, if you look at these percentile scores, till 90 percentile, it's a very gradual slope from 75 to 90. So after 90, the slope starts going up. If you have a graph, yes, absolutely right. So it is not going to be difficult to get up to a 90 or even I would say 90 to 93 percentile. That struggle actually starts beyond that. And 90 percentile, even in CAT 21 or CAT 20 was 9 questions roughly. So my starting point for any section, any verbal section is always first get 30 marks and then talk about anything else.
Absolutely.
Even if it takes you to do only, even if you're not able to complete the paper, it does not matter. Get those 30 marks. First 10 questions attempted correctly is what you need to do.
Wonderful. So at this point in time, if you've got 10 questions net correct, and that is a struggle. So let me actually get to the next slide. So this is a question matters analysis. Let me quickly explain this graph. So this has got two data: percentage attempt, which means percentage of student who attempted a particular question, and out of those students, how many of the got question correct. For instance, this particular uh, uh, area graph that you see is percentage attempt. This means that if for question number one, 83% of the students attempted the particular question. Out of those 83% attempt the question, 36% of them got that question correct. So anything above kind of 670 percentage and above, which means that question was correct for 70% of the test taking population, which then you can understand that question would be relatively easier in the sense it was not that challenging. And anything above 50, I put it on this light green. That's easy to moderate. Then we have roughly close to 40% attempt, it's moderate, and then we have all the reds. So what you see is a couple of things, of course. So if I start by looking at from a picture of attempt is at this point in time there are 80% of them attempted this particular question, this percent, and 70, but then these two attempts are actually lower, right? And which is quite understandable at this point in time. We have got 40 minutes, and what is likely to happen for these 8 questions probably would have taken about 12 minutes, which means you are left with about 28 minutes. So if you're looking at about 2 passages, that's about 14 minutes. If you're looking at 3 passages, we have 9 minutes per passage. We're looking at all the four, then 7 minutes per passage. At this point in time, I would assume that it'll be probably difficult to actually look at all the 4 passages, but not impossible. But at this point in time, it's fine. So the other thing that would want to actually look at is these 8 questions here, right? These are 8 questions, and imagine we are looking at 10 questions net correct as a starting point. These 8 questions, for example, something like a paragraph jumble, is people often tend to miss. Paragraph jumble as a question is first of all, it's typing answer question. There is no negative marking. Yet I see that only 70% even attempted the question. This particular question only 80%. This particular question only 66% even attempted. That is, people did not even type 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, hoping that some magic would happen. And second of all, in such a paragraph jumble question, for example, look at question number 18. That particular paragraph jumble question, 40%, roughly 40% of the students got a question correct in a type in the answer format. This paragraph jumble question, another 40% got the question correct, which means there were definitely these two paragraph jumble questions which were manageable. You will understand that when you go through the solution as well. Let's, for example, look at odd sentence again. Odd sentence, we have got 5 sentences. All you have to do is type 1. For this particular odd sentence question, there are only 56% even mark that question. I mean, it's about, at least there's no negative marking there. And this odd sentence question is something that people did not attempt. One of the odd question, it was slightly tough, but this odd sentence question, 46% of the students got that question correct, which means given that there's type in the answer, there might be a lot answer question. So there were these 3 questions which were actually manageable, right? Out of this 8. Then the issue here, of course, was the paragraph summary question. The option was slightly trickier. You actually can see that here in paragraph summary question, it was difficult. This another paragraph summary question was difficult. Even then, the third paragraph summary question was manageable. In that particular case, I can actually see 1, 2, 3, and 4, or maybe 5. If I can get 4 or 5 eventually from this sort of VAS section out of this 8, by spending, let's say, 12 minutes, even at this point in time, maybe about 14, 15 minutes. Imagine that if I have to get net 10 questions, mind you, net 10 questions, if I remind you, net 10 questions correct for this particular paper would have actually put you in the 95th percentile. In the actual CAT, probably between 90 and 95 percentile. Out of which, if I can knock off 4 to 5 here, then all I have to do next is to look at another 6 odd question or 5 odd question from the whole set of reading comprehension, which is possible. Right. So one thing that I would want to talk to all of you is that ensure that the paragraph, the verbal questions is something that you don't miss out on. The CAT for the last 5 years only asked 3 type of questions: paragraph jumble, paragraph summary, odd sentence. If let's say if you kickstart and look at the skill set early, start building those skills. So this is something that can be nailed. Just quickly going through the passages here. One of the challenges that would have happened is that, for example, let's look at, for example, the second passage on imitation, right? Look at the 4 questions. 1 question is easy, 1 question moderate, 2 questions difficult. So what does that tells me? That tells me that in a particular passage, whether the passage is difficult to read or easy to read, eventually the difficulty level boils down to the questions and the options. And what would have happened is that because I've read, for example, I read this particular passage, which means in my mind it goes that I have to answer all the 4 questions. I don't need to. If a question is very confusing, I don't know. I don't want to go back and back and forth with this passage. Mind you, when you look at the time taken in reading comprehension, is time to read the passage plus, or let's say time to read the passage, but time to solve question number 1, plus time to solve question number 2, plus time to solve question number 3, plus time to solve question number 4. These passages are roughly 500 words. That's what the CAT is. Let's say that my reading speed is slow, 150 words per minute. Maybe I'll take, so which means I can probably eventually look at the passage in about 4 minutes or maybe 5 minutes, which is fine. But the real problem, I think that we focus too much on reading fast and worrying about those things. But if you read at the pace of your comprehension, and if you don't get stuck in questions, the problem happens when we get stuck in questions, right? And then you can look at this. So lot of you have talked about the last passage, which was, it was horrible to read. I mean, by the time you've read 2 sentences, you're almost going, what is going on here? What imagination? I can't imagine this particular passage. But in that passage, if I've had a broad understanding of that particular passage, there were 2 questions which were easy to take and others were reasonably okay. It's not that these questions were very difficult, even basic understanding of this particular passage. But I would have missed that particular passage, assuming that the passage is tough. And this first passage is the first passage that you saw. And the first passage, the questions were genuinely very confusing, right? But I'm guessing that since many of you attempted this, we would have spent a lot of time in question, coming and going back up and down, going back up and down, miss the whole thing. You will never get to know. So obviously, that if you're someone wanting to look at three passages, you have to make a rough judgment in terms of which of the passages probably I'll skip, right? But then even after that, you cannot look at sit on one particular passage and say that because I read the passage, I have to answer all the questions, right? This passage, as though all these passages were dense. We have seen dense passages coming in CAT 2020, CAT 2021. It was very important for us to get you exposed to the dense passages in the beginning itself, and that every single mock test we don't want to start by saying that just because you didn't prepare for this test, the first mock test, let me give you something that is manageable. No, we are preparing you for the CAT. We want you to put the pressure right up front, understand what are the challenges, and fight with those challenges. And that's what it is. So if you're someone who would have sensible enough and have actually would have got, let's say, 4 questions from you, which was manageable. And let's say I can actually see, let's say, if any passage that you pick or 3 passages that you pick, all I have to look at is net 2 questions correct. If you're sensible, skipping some of this question, you've got a 6 and a 4. That's a 10. Yeah. So that's from my end. Anything else, Arks, you would want to add?
One important thing, very interesting. The graph tells us what very interesting thing that this graph tells us, Jijo, is that almost all students start with the passage 1,
Correct.
then do passage 2, and then try to do 3 and 4 if they have time. And this is a very, I mean, it's almost every year for the last 20 years. GP sir would also say this, that you don't have to do it in that kind of a linear fashion. If, for example, you're finding it very, if the first set is the questions are becoming difficult, then quickly go to the next one and the next one. And as you can see, if you look at the percentage of accuracy in both the third section or the third passage and the fourth passage, the percentage of accuracy overall is higher than for first and second. And especially for the third one, for the fourth one, 2 easy and 2 medium levels. Now, the most difficult thing to do in an actual exam is to pick which ones to start. But I have a different take on this. I think as we go along, while the logical idea is that, okay, 10 net questions is good enough, it is the 10 net questions which are good enough.
Correct.
If you can attempt 24 on 24 in some way or the other, where you improve your speeds, improve your ability to solve as many questions as possible, you will start getting almost all the easy ones right. And that is when your scores will become much better. So I think the strategy of the exam, within the exam itself, like somebody is asking, should I start with verbal or should I start with RC? There is no correct rule for this. You need to try both. And that is where these mocks will really help you to improve.
You're right, absolutely. Sorry.
Yeah, one other point which has to be made absolutely clear over here is that, boss, there is no liability morally or legally that you have towards a particular passage कि मैंने उसको start किया है, then पकड़े रहना छोड़ना नहीं, फेविकॉल वाला बंधन नहीं है. If you look at question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, 80% people started with question 1 and 80% people attempted all 4 questions, irrespective of they are finding it difficult or what. Boss, it is absolutely fine. Even in VRC or DILR also, it is not necessary that if you pick a set or pick a passage, it is not necessary that you solve all questions following it. You take 6 marks from a set, it is good enough. You take 6 marks from a passage, it is good enough. If you are feeling that a particular question is tough, just don't go ahead and mark some random answers over there. It doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, no one is going to ask you कि यार games वाला set बनाया है या bar graph बनाया है. At the end of the day, what matters is whether you score 30 marks or 12 marks in the paper. So manage your attempts in such a way that you are ready to let go of things that you have already spent time on. That is very important from the exam perspective.
So what Arks you're saying, and even Ravi, I completely agree. At the end of the day, if I were you, I would want to look at all 24. Right. Which means if I have 28 minutes with me and 12 minutes with me, in the 28 minutes, I'm going to look at all the 4 passages for sure. The key therefore is not to get stuck in options. Key therefore is not to get stuck, not to have any specific agenda with each of these questions. That's a key. And I'm sure that over time we will build that skill set if we hang around and keep taking the mock test.
In fact, Tijo, I would want the students to check out if they have attempted first passage, how much time did they spend in question 2? If they have attempted the second passage, how much time did they spend in question 8? If they have attempted the third passage, how much time did you attempt in question 11? My guess is in each of these questions, if you have attempted, you would have spent about 2 to 3 minutes, if not more. And that is what would have spoiled your entire passage with you. And had you left these questions, then possibly you would have been able to do a little bit extra. Similarly, if you look at the if you can get back to that slide.
Which is the previous one?
The PPT vanished.
PPT one is how?
When you are similarly, if you look at the parajumble, the verbal logic part, question 17, question 19, question 23, look at those Zs. If you have attempted those Z bars, please check out, try to estimate how much time did that take you. This is where you wasted time, and this is the reason why you have not been able to do passage 3 and 4. When I was looking at this graph, to me, the first thing was exactly what Ark said. Had Ark not mentioned that, I would have picked it up. This fourth passage आसान था क्यों नहीं हुआ? Because you got stuck in the initial question. If you started from verbal, those 3, question 17, 19, 23, and then you would have started RC from the first passage, question 2, question 8, question 11. To me, these 6 questions, if you have attempted, you have probably spent 15 minutes in these 6 questions. 15 out of 40, almost 40% of your time. Yeah, Jijo.
To be fair, that particular passage, the first paragraph was so out of the world. The first sentence was difficult. I didn't understand what the first sentence even meant.
But Jijo, if you look at history, if you look at history of CAT and history of RC, anytime if the passage is very difficult, in general, and I'm almost sticking my neck out and saying the questions will be easy and the choices will be easy. And the reverse is also true. If you read and you understand everything about what the passage is, and it's so very surprising but true that people get many mistakes in the easy passage, but appears easy, but the questions are going to be tough.
The end of the day, what you're saying is something which I've always maintained. The average level of difficulty of passage plus question is the same. If the passage is easy, the questions become difficult. If the passage is difficult, the questions become easy. So net it does not matter. Either way, your job is to read the passage. जो समझ आए ठीक है, जो सवाल नहीं समझ आए, leave it and move on.
Actually, it also makes logical sense. For example, the question setter is also a human being like you and me, right? Yeah. So the question setter understanding on the passage will be very slightly better than your understanding on the passage. But so therefore, the questions will be from a broad. If the passage is very difficult, it will be something very broad, and then something can be managed with it. So if the question setter is able to understand the passage really well, if you can understand the passage really well, then I can get into the depth and get into some questions. But all right. But irrespective of not having any preconceived notion, read every passages and look at the question. If you can manage, you can manage. So at this point, sorry, GP.
No, just complete. I was about to pick up question of Karthik.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So Karthik Agarwal is saying, sir, should we choose passage on the basis of familiarity or the level of difficulty of the passage? The problem is you will not know what is the level of the difficulty of passage till you read it. And reading a familiar passage, the only thing it does is you will save 15-20 seconds in reading the passage. A 400-word passage, familiar versus unfamiliar passage, you will probably save 15-20 seconds. That is all. So frankly, to me, it does not matter. It is more a question of your comfort with which of the methods you want to go ahead with.
The difference between the savings is about 30 seconds, what you're saying, right? 15-20 seconds. But also, GP, eventually it will boils down the difficult level in the question, and the question difficult level happens because of the options. So you will technically will not come to know till you reach that particular point. So you're betting, of course, right. And you can start by saying that let me bet on certain passages to start with. Let me read this particular passage.
Yeah.
And let me go to the question. Sorry.
Yeah. I typically choose passages based on familiarity because it makes me a little comfortable. Absolutely. It does not give me any advantage. It is my comfort. It makes me feel comfortable. I am relaxed when I'm doing a familiar passage. That is all. Yes, but it does not give me any advantage.
So we have 8 months. We have 240 days. Get familiar with all topics. No.
Yeah.
So it's about reading different kind of passages, different kind of things, and be as familiar as you can, as broader understanding. So familiarity should not be there in the first place. So that's how your preparation should move as you go forward.
In fact, Jijo, one question that has popped up quite often in this session is that can we do VA first and go to RCs next?
You can do
That's what
anything.
I do. That's what
Huh.
I do, by the way. But your choice. I know of people who would do two passages, one passage of IC, two questions of verbal. Another passage of IC, they intersperse two questions of verbal between after every RC passage. Your choice. What
The
makes you
order,
comfortable? Go with
the,
that.
the, the order in which you attempt the passage of ERC is irrelevant. Okay, what is more important is what decision that you make for individual questions. The problem happens when people end up going back to the passage, coming back, thinking too much, doing over analysis. You got one answer, still you start thinking maybe why. I'll have to look at more deeper understanding. If your heart is telling B, mark B and move on. But we have to sit and do analysis. If you make better decision, then things will be okay.
Also, another important point is that no matter however normalized CAT might seem as a paper, for every individual taking the paper is different. In the sense, for someone, imagination may be the first paragraph, a first RC, and for someone else, evil may be the first RC. Right. So that decision has to be made by you because the order of questions for everyone is jumbled. It is different for each and every individual. Right. So you will not do what you will not get the questions in the same order as your neighbor will get in the paper. So copy bhi nahi kar sakte ho basically.
Anyway, at this point, what I'll say is go and refer to the video analysis. I have probably taken 40 minutes on some of these passages, 40 minutes just to explain everything. So it's like one full-fledged analysis, going to every single question, getting every single understanding. So it's like a long drawn video solution that I've created. So have a look, and I'm sure that you will learn. And next time when we meet with the next VRC, we would see some sort of an improvement, hopefully, and then we'll continue to grow. Let me move to DILR. Let me first give you GP and gang. This is the data.
Hmm. So I would so it is more DILR generally, no matter whichever mock it is or whichever cat it is, generally you will not see a lot of deviation in the scores at various percentiles because typically it is perceived to be a section. It is perceived to be a section which is not scoring, which is not really true. Some of the people score really well in DILR, but the general notion is that it is tough and इसलिए इसमें कम scores में ज़्यादा percentiles मिल जाता है. It is more like electrical machines of engineering. You score less, you get a higher grade. So if you look at it again, the main
Ravi, that is
yeah,
because people have decided it's a difficult section. You
exactly.
decide it's difficult, it will turn out to be difficult.
Exactly. In fact, the one important thing to notice in any of the three sections, forget about DILR, look at VRC, DILR, or Quant. One important thing you need to notice is that, boss, these IIMs that you are applying to have sectional cutoffs. And these sectional cutoffs are of the order 80 percentile, 85 percentile. In each of the sections, you are supposed to clear at least that. So, your first target when you are taking mocks in the next 2 months, your first target, next 3 months, your first target is to reach to that 80 and 85th percentile. And if you actually look at the actual CAT data that is there, 80th percentile is like 5 questions out of 20. In fact, in CAT 2021, it was 5 questions out of 22. In CAT 2020, there were 22 questions over there. And in CAT 2021, it is 1/4 of the paper will give you the sectional percentile required, and then a gradual increase of 2 questions or 3 questions from 15 to 21. Suddenly you go from an 80th percentile to a 90th percentile. 2 questions is the difference that you'll find in the 10 percentiles. And unlike in VRC, you won't find that the jump is very steep. Yes, it will be steep at the fag end, at the toppers, and it will definitely be steep for any of the sections you'll see. But you'll see that every question, every one extra question you get correct in DILR is going to matter a lot. But your first target is to make sure that you are able to get those 5 to 6 questions correct so that you get your sectional cutoffs clear. GP?
I would say in this paper, If you have got less than 24 marks, you have messed up the paper. Okay. Two sets, set number 2 and set number 4. They were there for you to pick up. Worst case, okay, 1 or 2 questions you get wrong, even then you should have got about 18 to 20 marks. If you are less than that, then that means you have really messed up this particular paper. Your task was to just do those 2 sets first. After that, worry about those 6 question data sets. The 2 data sets of 4 questions were the easiest in the paper, and that is what most of the students seem to have given up on. I'd like to see when we come to the graph, but that is where I would look at this paper. It was a very poor selection of data sets. And even if you had got one set right, 4 questions, 12, you would be, as Ravi said, 80 percentile plus in this paper. Okay.
But unlike, for example, reading comprehension, where you can get to the options, skip and move. In data interpretation, you have to obviously work with the set. So I think selection of the set is going to be crucial as a skill set that you eventually need to have. And one more thing I want to say is I'm sure that there were 3 slots, no? So I'm saying a score like 32 would probably have been good for at least one of these slots. So it is while you see these scores here, this please mind that these are all scale scores. So there'll be some slot which will be lesser than this, some slot which is more than that. Just saying that.
See, in DILR, Jijo, I've done
Mhm.
the recording of the solution, but
So
before
let
the
me.
solution, I've given what is called the overview. In the overview, what I've done, I've gone through all the 4 sets of data and given my rationale or logic as to which set should be attempted and why, which set should not be attempted and why. And yeah, the data is telling us very clearly that set number 2 and 4 were the easy ones. I'm still wondering why is it that we have such low accuracies, such low scores.
Yeah,
So you've
it's
got.
again. No, I wonder what would have been the scenario if set number 2 was set number 1 in the paper. अगर वहां से start करते तो what would have been the scenario? I hope more people would have attempted it then.
Ravi,
Because
even Olympic Games, wala, I find about 40% students have only attempted. So it is not. The good thing is many people have looked at it, possibly wasted time, and then moved on. So
in
the
the
question you
Olympic
need to
Games
ask
wala
yourself,
set,
yeah,
in the
yeah, Ravi.
Olympic Games wala set, if you go by, if you form the entire table and try to solve the entire question just to get
And
that one answer in the
Ravi,
end.
Ravi, what I find interesting in the Olympic Games is the easiest questions in the paper were question 25 and 26, and look at the accuracy level. These were
This
the
is
two
5.
easiest questions of the paper. 25, 26, I would say not this particular set, but far as the paper is concerned, these were fairly easy. I would say these are the two easiest. In this set, these 2 questions were definitely to be attempted. Others, if you leave, not an issue at all.
There is one question which is 3% accuracy. What happened here?
I don't know which one is this question 31. Let me just
31.
The
see what
first one of the bar graph.
first one of bar graph.
The language is a little tricky over there.
No, not tricky. I think more than okay. I think they would have got confused. You are right. Possibly it's a language issue, understanding issue. Again, this was an easy question.
Correct.
So
Okay,
reading comprehension problem is it?
that could be, but again, I'm saying I can still maaf karo question 31. I'm saying 25. How could you get wrong? 26 for a minute again. I can give up on. You may not understand, but to me, by and large, question 25, 26 should have been correct. This is absolutely disappointing.
Nishank is saying the same question came in CAT 2021. The theme was same. An Olympic Games, जहाँ तक Olympic Games है, वहाँ तक ही it was same. Everything else was different in the question. If you actually look at it, it only looked like that set, but it was not actually that difficult. If you look at either my video attempt or GP sir's video solution, you'll find that the questions in the first set were the ones that you could have cracked without actually cracking the set.
Actually, I would say first set 25, 26 very easy, 27, 28 doable, 29, 30 difficult. So first two easy, next two medium, next two difficult. And the entire set has to be solved using the data and the choices by elimination. If you try making that table, it is not a set which is worth attempting.
So I think at this point in time, what is needed is some idea in terms of how to deal with this set, right? So watching both the attempts made by Ravi and the solution that is given by GP is going to be very crucial. One of the things that people end up doing GP is that because of scores like these, like somebody got a low score, they just stop taking the mock test and then
Yeah.
wanting to start preparing. I think that is going to be a horrible thing to do, because this is where your big learning is going to happen, right? You're looking at four sets, learn from these four sets. It does not. So when it comes to data interpretation, logical reasoning, it's purely based on logic, it's purely based on analysis of data. So even if, let's say, so it is very important at this point in time to go back and solve all the sets again. It is also important to try on your own. It may take 1 hour, doesn't matter. Solve, look at the solution, learn, and once in a while keep revising. And that's my suggestion, because what GP is saying, elimination, I'm guessing a lot of people would not know how to use elimination method to handle this. It's my gut feeling, GP.
Quite
In fact,
possible.
in fact, day in and day out, I am answering. I have been answering in the last 1 week a lot of queries on Telegram where people ask me कि sir syllabus खत्म करके mock लिखूँ क्या? I say be my guest, take the first mock in September, and then you have only yourself to blame. Don't do that. It's good that you have got this realization now. Now you know, even if you have scored low, you have got a point, a frame of reference from where you can start, and you can say, boss, I have to improve 2 questions in the next mock or one set in the next mock. That is how you grow gradually. And there was also one interesting question. I think it was posted by Aryan, that should I experiment various strategies while taking mocks and then finally fix my strategy? GP?
Absolutely. This is the time you have to experiment. First 5 papers, please experiment. Try all kind of things. Try different sequences. RC, try wobble first, then RC, or vice versa, or a mix and match of the two. Similarly in DILR, experiment. But 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 when it comes to DILR, one thing I will ask you not to experiment, but to straight away implement is start choosing the sets of data. First 5 minutes, please go through all the sets. Even if that 5 minutes becomes 7 or 8, I don't have an issue. Even if they become 10 minutes, it is fine. But at the end of 10 minutes, you should be able to say which are those two sets of data I will definitely attempt. And even then, if you look at 15 minutes per set of data, 8 questions, worst case, you will still be 20 plus, if not more. Okay. So to me, one thing you should not experiment, but force yourself to do it. Spend time, understand sets, try to understand which ones to attempt, and then go on with the attempt part. Don't worry about completing the paper out here.
My feeling, GP, is that I can see, let's say the attempt here is about 30-40 percentage, attempt here is 60, then about 30 is about 60s, and we have 30. I'm sure that there might be many of them who are choosing based on, I've got 6 questions here, that is 4 questions here, so it's probably better to do the 6 question. And my feeling, so the way in which you have to choose the set is based on the understanding of this test, whether it is crackable, not the number of questions. It may be that you're choosing 6 and 4, maybe 4 and 4, or 6 and 6. That depends about
But
the
Jijo,
track.
but the graph does not say that. The graph clearly says that people have chosen the 4 and 4 better more than the 6 and 6.
That I understand, but I'm talking about some of them would have made the decision. That's what I'm saying.
Acha, those people would have made the
Uh,
decision.
so I'm saying
Yeah,
that
in
if,
fact,
if,
in
if
fact, I
Ask,
remember.
ask one more thing which could have happened is, and just to add to what Jijo was saying, quite possible a lot of people spend the time in the first set of data and did not mark anything.
okay,
So that
That is
would not get
very, very
counted
true,
here.
GP. You're right, actually. So it is not showing, but people would have spent time without marking a single question.
Hmm.
Correct.
In fact, I remember CAT 2020, when I took the paper, the first set was very easy, but I didn't know what to do about that in the paper. मेरे को नहीं चमका. So I spent about 6 minutes in that set and I couldn't solve that. Then I decided I have to go for a 6 question set now, which was, which was an educated strategy that I made, because I was confident that I will be able to crack that 6 question set. If you have that confidence, go for the 6 question sets. But as I mentioned earlier also, your first goal is to get those 6 to 8 questions correct. 12 आ
Ravi,
जाते हैं is bonus.
Ravi, मेरा उल्टा है. मेरा
हाँ.
उल्टा है. I am very confident and I am poor. I am very confident I don't know anything. So I will only look for easy questions. To me, whether it is 6 or 4 or 2, it does not matter. If I see an easy question, I will do it. If I see a difficult set or question, I will leave it. So मेरे को 4-6 कोई नहीं है. In fact, again, just to repeat, CAT 21 slot 2 paper, I would want all the students to attempt the easiest 2 sets for the 4 question data sets. 4 plus 4 8. You do that, you know you are definitely 90 percentile. उसके बाद 99 तो बाद में सोचूंगा ना. First I'll get that 85 90 what you said earlier. So don't take chance. I will say you find easy stuff, do that, because DILRs is a section which people will typically not complete.
And for CAT 2021, they reduce the number of sets also, no? They reduce the
4 out
choices.
of, there were 4 sets.
It used to be 5 sets before, no? 2020, if I remember correctly.
20 was 5.
2020 was 5 sets. 2021 there were only 4.
Let's hope that 2022 has got 5 sets because you get more choices. Then,
understand one thing, whatever set is more rewarding, that means if you have an opportunity to get 18 questions, it means that whatever is more rewarding will also churn out a lot of time from you. It will also require a time from you, and you should be ready to give that time if you want to solve that 6 question set. So 15 minutes lagega to lagega, boss.
Right. Achha, one thing which I want students to go through when I look at the solution, Olympic Games, please go through the solution, and I think Ravi would have also done the same thing because I know how he thinks. Please look at the solution, see how the choices have been used, how we have solved. Ravi, were you able to solve all 6 questions while attempting?
No, I solved the first 4 questions while attempting.
Okay.
The last 2 questions I felt will probably take more time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I said कि बहुत
So
बिना कुछ बनाए
incidentally, the last 2 also can be done by eliminating choices. So that is what you need to pick up from the first set. Which questions to definitely attempt, which ones to leave, and how to attempt. Second set of data, I don't think there's anything. It's a very short data set. You could have done it in 5 minutes or so. The lecture schedule, there's an opportunity to use the choices. In the arrangement, there's a definite opportunity to use the choices. Please look at both these sets and see if you could have used the choices to solve, especially the last set of data arrangement. That is an easy set, but you would have still saved 2 to 3 minutes had you used the question. The first 2 questions. Question 1 will give you the arrangement of cars. Question 2 will give you the second question of arrangement, will give you the sequence of time. 7 a.m. which one, 7:30 which one, and so on and so forth. So those two give you the entire schedule. The entire thing, you don't even need to go through all the statements.
okay.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Those of you are asking about the analysis. The analysis has already been made live on aspiration.ai. The video solutions as well as the video attempt of VARC have already been uploaded. DILR and Quant, the video attempts have been uploaded. The video solutions will be uploaded by tonight.
So wonderful. And then I think this is probably one of the section. Maybe people are still learning. I don't know. There's a story.
But Jijo, in this section also, how many of you have prepared for arithmetic and found a question of arithmetic not doable in the paper? I want to know that. कि people who were waiting for syllabus to get over, जो syllabus आपने खत्म किया, उसमें से भी question कौन नहीं बना पाया. I want to know that because it is pretty much possible and it will happen all the time. That is primarily the reason why we say कि boss, don't wait for the syllabus to get over because the syllabus is infinite. And
not only that, Ravi, I'll add to your question. The topics which you have done, and in इसमें सवाल आता था, the topics which you are comfortable in, there would be questions you have not been able to solve. There would also be topics which you have not studied. उसमें से you would have solved 2 questions.
So I've put this.
A lot of them are saying they felt the same.
So
questions में फंस गए.
In fact, I put all these greens here, na, AR. That is all arithmetic questions. And then we have algebra, and then we have geometry. By the way, the 2 geometry questions here, full greens. Okay. And the arithmetic, we have got arithmetic here, red, dark red. Okay, there you have.
I think one thing people need to realize is that people hate geometry from the core of their heart ever since construction was introduced in class 9. But geometry the kind of questions that CAT has been asking in the last 4 or 5 years. You just go through the paper, boss. You just go through the last 12 papers of CAT and you will understand that geometry is probably the most easily crackable module in terms of the questions that are coming. You have a preconceived notion कि geometry मेरे से नहीं बनेगा, then you are at loss, right? If you look at those questions, you'll realize कि geometry के questions बनाने को area of triangle पता रहना चाहिए, और and who better to tell about that than GP? Geometry.
Geometry is easy, yeah. Geometry, as long as you don't use theorems, it is easy. Okay. And many questions of geometry can be done by construction. What people hate, that construction difficulty, construction is what makes your life easy. In fact, one of the geometry questions, let me see. Question 51. Okay.
Yeah.
Just look at question 51. Have people got it right? Great. Good. But I hope they have not wasted time in calculation. This was a construction question. Okay. And you could have done it very, very fast. Okay. So I'll be doing the Jugaad video for this.
Though 50% got it right, only 30% attempted. So technically, out of the 100%, only 15% really got it right in the entire country.
Yeah, right. मैं miss कर गया था ये. Okay. So
Only.
to me, this was one of the easiest question of this paper. Okay. So to me, the point is essentially we go with preconceived notions of in the paper. I think those preconceived notions have to be removed. I have done arithmetic, I have to get everything right. No, you will not get everything right in arithmetic. I have not done geometry, so I will not be able to solve. No, you will be able to solve a few questions. You look upon what you have studied at home. Now, once you are into the paper, just forget about it. You look at the question and say, do I know how to solve? Can I apply choices? Can I apply Jugaad? Some it seems to be that a few last year students who are saying Jugaad methods work. And that is what I would want you to get used to. The students who are here for the first time, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find a few videos on Jugaad methods on my YouTube channel, GP Ka Cat Funda. Oh, thanks, Prasan.
In fact, even GP sir, if you look at question 58 also, it is a simple 9-12-15 regulation triangle.
9-12-15 आते ही वो right angle triangle बन गया.
Right. So there were enough questions up for grabs. It's only disheartening to see that number of attempts per each of the attempt level. No question has more than 50% attempt level. Is a little disheartening to see. But nevertheless, you're still in March. Please understand, you're still in March. You've still got 8 months.
But one of the things about we are still in March is I think that we'll be still stuck in that attitude that I will attempt the things that I studied, right? I will attempt the things that have been taught to me. I will attempt the things only this, and then when you look at the paper, you are basically somebody gave you these many questions, 22 questions, right? Somebody gave you 22 questions. You basically decided 10 to you keep. I don't need your 10 questions. And you don't even look at the question. You want to look at only arithmetic because that is what I'm taught. That attitude cannot work. That's in like what GP is saying, like what Arth is saying, like how Ravi is saying, is that at the end of the day, it's the questions can be made difficult irrespective of the topic. Question can be made easy irrespective of the topic. Your job on that day when you take the test is that I have to maximize output. Which means I have to read every single question and make decisions. And I would strongly encourage. And I'm sure the GP would be making Jugaad videos for this in terms of probably looking at questions based on options and basic common sense and answering these questions. Some of those things will definitely help you. So as and when you keep moving forward, and obviously knowledge helps. You're doing that work there. Once you come to the test, all preconceived notion out of the blue, out. You're looking at each question, making decision. That is true for DLR. That is true for reading comprehension. That is true for QA.
And if any one of you is very religious, even then, don't go for a Jai Mata Di kind of an approach. Mark a question if you know it. Don't mark a question if you don't know it. Simple. You are able to solve. Irrespective of the topic it belongs to. Tukka nahi lagana hai. Right? You can take an educated guess, but no tukka.
There are a lot of type in the answer question, no?
That is the primary difference, Jijo, if you notice between CAT 2020 and CAT 2021. Quant CAT 2020, there were 26 questions, out of which 20 were MCQs, and 2021, out of 22 questions, only 14 were MCQs.
Okay.
Right? So the battle between CAT 2020 and 2021 actually was between those 14 questions versus 20 questions. That is where the sectional percentiles also dipped. If you can go back to that sectional percentiles wala slide, you can see that, CAT 2020 mein if you needed 13 marks, CAT 2021 mein you only needed 9 marks to get that 75th percentile. Because the difference was essentially between the number of MCQ questions. I don't know why people feel very uncomfortable answering non MCQ questions, but non MCQ questions, at least I suggest you mark some answer, take an educated guess, right? That is because non MCQ questions have no negative marks, so I think you should do that. Go ahead and at least try and attempt the non MCQ questions.
There you go. So, what to do, GP? 8 months.
What to do?
Or maybe keep it simple. Next 90 days. What to do?
Okay. Yeah. See, if you have to, again, this will vary depending on the individual. Have you just started your preparation, or are you a repeater, retaker? And even if you're a retaker, what was your CAT score? So I will try to break a student into this population into three categories: fresher, a repeater with decent understanding, and a repeater who needs some kind of inputs in at least one of the things. Okay. So there'll be some repeaters who will be, let's say, 97, 98 percentile odd or so. And so they basically need to look at the paper taking, they need to revise their stuff, and they need to start doing, let's say, regular papers and analyzing and identifying errors. For them, the issue is speed. For the bottom category, repeater with 95, 97, 98, 93 plus, for them, the issue is the paper taking technique has to be improved. So the starting point has to be right now, immediately, to start identifying where did they go wrong last time. Obviously, they would be out of touch, so they need to revise also. But to me, the issue is this: if you are a fresher, or someone who was 70, 80 percentile last time, that means your knowledge or concepts are a problem. Okay. Follow the class schedule. Make sure before the class you go through the stuff. During the class, get your stuff. So this is the April, May, June, not even July. I'll say April, May, June itself. Your concept should be over. And when I say concept should be over, I'm essentially talking about QA and DILR. In English, what are the concepts we are talking? We are talking about para-jumble in terms of conceptual clarity, odd statement para-jumble, which is extension. Para-summary and reading comprehension is the same. So in English, concept is a 2-day job. After that, it is regular practice and identifying what is the reading technique I have to adopt. How do I look at doing the paper? In DILR, I would say every day do 2 sets of data. Open your aspiration account, do 2 sets of data. Any 2 sets does not matter. In 90 days, if you do 2 sets of data a day, if not on 90 days, if you do 75 days also, you're talking about 150 data sets. That will give you a good coverage. 2 sets of data, you will get familiarity. In DILR, familiarity of approach, familiarity of knowing how to do a particular kind of data set is helpful. Okay? QA is where I would say next 3 months focus on getting your concepts in place and revise a lot. One of the problems in QA is you do arithmetic now. Let's say percentage, ratio, proportion you have done today. 2 months you don't do anything, you would have forgotten. So the earlier topics you need to keep revising so that you don't forget. In April, May, June, even if you are not able to complete the syllabus, the so-called syllabus, you have done only arithmetic algebra, it is still fine. But make sure it is thorough and you keep revising. One of the techniques for revising for QA is to make sure you keep, while along with the classes, you keep doing the class exercises, etc. And what the exercises given in the books. But when it comes to the online material, online topic tests and section tests are there. Every week, do 1 topic test of each topic, which you have covered in the past. That will keep you in touch.
So VRC, I think it's the same thing what GP has said. So In the month of April itself, I think in about 30 days time, you ensure that paragraph jumble, paragraph summary, odd sentences, you get cracking and figure out the whole thing. That's number one. Reading comprehension is a practice and get familiar with topics. So start reading. So reading, I think that you should read one passage a day. Aon Essays is a good site. It's got a lot of article. JSTOR daily, not JSTOR. Uh, that is a place which is got research papers, but JSTOR daily is another site. Or Aon Essays. Just pick one and keep reading and make yourself familiar. When you start reading, pick up reading stuff that you find interesting. Keep reading for the sake of it, right? So ensure that that habit happens, and of course keep nail this one paragraph jumble. So more you do, the more you learn in terms of how to deal with it, and that's what you have to do. So in about 90 days time, you basically imagine that your cat is in July. What will you do? Right. So look at three months of junk. So let's say April, May, June as one part. July, August, September at phase two. So 1, 2, and 3. Don't and start thinking like what would have done if the cat would have been in July? What would I have done in 90 days? Pack your preparation 90 days, 90 days. Otherwise, what tend to happen is that we have got 8 months and we keep saying that tomorrow I'll do stuff, tomorrow I'll do stuff, tomorrow I'll do. It never happens. Chunk of 90 days is what you need to look at, and that will make a lot of difference to a prep.
This is what happened when I had 7 days of holidays between 2 of my board exams. मेरे को लगा 7 दिन है बहुत पढ़ लूंगा.
पढ़ाई तो लास्ट 2 दिन नहीं होती है.
It's not going to happen unless and until you're taking it very, very seriously in terms of finishing whatever you can finish and being very, very disciplined when it comes to take mocks, taking
So
mocks.
So even in July, it's like full-fledged mock is going to start. We have taken this mock test here. Next one is going to hit you in April once, and then you have a May one. Then you have got June couple of them. So you are obviously picked the learning. You're working on each of these areas. Of course, maths. You're looking at concept DLR, like what GP sir said, and QA. You'll keep on doing that. You'll pick up another set of learning from this April test. You'll continue your prep. You'll get the third set of learning here, fourth, fifth set of learning. For that to happen, ladies and gentlemen, it is absolutely crucial that you take test. Don't wait for syllabus, so-called whatever syllabus you get over. There is no syllabus. For example, reading a VARC section, what syllabus is there? DLR per se, what syllabus is there? That is 2/3 of the paper. If there's some resemblance of syllabus, that is only there in QA. And if you keep taking this mock test, by the time you watch GP's Jugaad video, you'll basically realize that I don't need that syllabus also. I can manage with basic sense. Of course, conceptual understanding helps, but that's something that I would want to say.
In fact, you need to start loving DILR. I'll tell you why. Because you are going for an MBA. Your 2 years syllabus in MBA is DILR, boss. वहां जाके तुमको case study करना है. There will be a lot of data given. You'll have to show numbers. You'll have to talk numbers. You'll have to present business plans. That is why they take DILR ka test in the first place. Make it your friend. You understand those graphs, those numbers. It's only then that you'll be good in your MBA also.
Yeah. So don't be afraid of DLR. Embrace it. Ensure that you have fun with the sets. Go back and look at the sets. Don't fear it.
And someone was asking whether I should put a time constraint when I'm practicing DILR. When you're doing it for the first time, you're taking, while it is always good to have a time constraint, I think in the next couple of months when you're practicing, make sure that you focus a little more on accuracy, focus on getting to the gist of the question rather than being worried about the timer that is ticking. Once you are good in terms of judging the questions, once you are comfortable while solving the questions, the time taken will automatically reduce here. You will not even realize that there is a clock timer ticking while you are taking CAT if you are comfortable in that particular section.
One question somebody asked, are the 8 months available sufficient to crack CAT? I'll just repeat what GP sir has said, or Ravi has said, and Jijo has said. If you think there are 8 months, you will not even start studying anything. Like Jijo has said, look at the next 90 days. I will go further on to say, forget about the 8 months and forget about 90 days. Can you just plan this week? Improve one thing at a time, one concept at a time. Read 10 articles in 7 days. Do 10 sets of LR or 10 sets of DI in 10 days from the funda books, from the class sheets that we give you. You don't have to do anything. Somebody was asking, where do I get good sets? Our class sheets, the topic tests, sectional tests, the mocks, and the CAT originals. You won't be able to finish it. It's a guarantee you will not be able to finish it. I think somewhere you need to realize this, that to really crack this exam, you need to be consistent and daily spend a little time. Pranshu was asking, how do I plan for all the 3 sections in a day? Not required. Not all 3 you need not do probably in a day. But can you do it in a week? But making sure that the verbal RC, especially reading comprehension, can you read an article a day without fail? If you can make it 2, great. Add vocabulary to it, great. Do 5 questions of quant, great. It looks a little hodgepodge for you initially, but it's a habit that you're making. Once you make it to the habit, all the direction that we're giving you while you're writing the mocks, you will improve much, much better.
Rajul is asking if only the percentile matters or the score matters. See, percentile seems to be attractive initially, but at the final shortlist level, they will take the percentage of marks that you have scored in that. So try to score as much as.
Percentile is a rank, right? All the percentile say that out of the students who have taken the test, what is your rank? So in the mock test today, 2,127 people took the test. And these are all serious bunch of kids who have taken the test. So the percentile merely tells you your rank among these set of students. So your percentile actually at this point in time doesn't matter at all. You focus on scores. Percentile is an outcome of things that happen. And what you look at scores. So put scores 100, 100, 100, 30, 30, 30. Let's start from there. 90. Let's go from there. 10 questions in each section. Let's start from the 10, 8, 10 at least. Okay, let's start from there at least.
In fact, Jijo, if you can put up Sujay Giri's question on the screen, I think that's extremely important because I'm not able to do that. Yeah, I think this would be the problem for many students. Half my marks went in negative marking. So Sujay and others, the question you need to ask yourself is, why did you attempt those questions if you are not sure of answering them? Was it a mistake which just happened because you are rushing through it, or was it your optimism which made you attempt कि चलो कोशिश करते हैं शायद कुछ हो जाएगा? ठीक है? So that's the question you need to ask. Ask yourself, in each section the reason could be different, in each question the reason could be different. So ask yourself and work on that part. So you will get an answer. Okay, in this particular question I was unduly optimistic. I should not have attempted because this is a question type I am not comfortable with. That's okay. Next time, don't do it. This question, I rushed to the question, read it so fast because it was easy. I read it very fast, and I ended up making a silly calculation mistake. Now you know you don't have to rush to the question. Most of the time, this is an issue because you are attempting more questions than what you should be. Okay, so analyze each of those mistakes. You will know the answer.
Jay Thakkar is asking IPL देखने का है कि नहीं? बिल्कुल देखो यार.
बिल्कुल देखना यार.
Yeah, of course.
See, unless and until your mind is happy, you are mentally poised, you will not be able to take any learning out of any mock you are taking or any question you are solving. Right?
If you're
गाय में तो कुछ नहीं होगा सर.
Boss, CAT की तैयारी कर रहे हो, JEE नहीं है, that your life has to be kept on hold. JEE is a stupid paper to prepare for. CAT is fun. JEE means writing off 2 years of your life today. Okay.
Right.
Jijo is laughing. Jijo कह रहा है मैंने तो नहीं किया था.
People are so basically what happens is in that case is that everybody does it. Therefore, I also will have to do it, and then it creates into this problem of I'm not doing enough, and then you have self doubts and all these things happens. So what Ark said is best. You take 1 week. You put some 3 tasks and ensure that 3 tasks is completed in the week. 3 tasks. I have task number 1 in reading comprehension. This for this week. These are the tasks I'll do. For this one, these are the tasks I'll do. Put on tasks. Don't put in terms of number of hours that I have to prepare morning, evening. Trying to create schedule is the worst thing. You make an amazing schedule, and then every time you look at the schedule look at it and say, "Tera औकात ही नहीं है." So you should not create schedules that you will not follow. You don't want to look at a schedule. Put tasks, list down stuff, weekly. I think what Ark said is the best stuff to happen. And
We are
please
on
put-
March. We are on March 27th, guys. November 27th is your cat. Frankly, enough and more time if you just do it in a very, very systematic manner. Don't.
One of the thing about that IPL question, no, Ravi. One of the thing is that to make schedule that works, right? You know, when you make the schedule, you know the first thing that you should put in. The first thing that you put in are the things that you love doing. Put the IPL first. Put your the time pass stuff first in the. Then figure out how to put in cat. Then the schedule will work. So otherwise, schedule will not work. But
And some of them are, worried about the timer, the clock ticking. See, it will happen. You will have that nervousness even when you are taking cat. The only way to get out of that is using the question paper button. There is a question paper button when you take the mock. If you noticed, you can click on the question paper and you can see the entire question paper at once. And the clock, the best part of that is it will cover the entire clock and you won't see. So you can solve the questions without that nervousness and pressure. But it is always good to keep a tab on time.
I'm saying, I think, Ravi, whether timer is there or not, time is moving.
Yeah.
Okay, you are just putting the blame on the timer. Okay, how does it matter whether timer is there or not? Time is moving anyways. So you're sitting and worrying that, oh, timer is there. What does that even mean? I don't understand. Life is moving. No, you can't say that I am worried about my clock in my room. No, make it your friend. I understand what your question is. You're worried about whether time will get run. In that process, just focus on the question on the screen. Make sensible decision. Every minute, ensure that you're making sound decision and don't get stuck in a question. Life will be good. Okay.
So guys, please follow our channel, subscribe to us, and like the video if you like the analysis. For almost all the mocks, we will be coming out like this. Someone is asking what is the difference between prime cat and countdown cat. Countdown cat can be taken only in the slots, just like cat, only open for 2 days. Prime cats can be taken at any point in time once they are opened. So thanks all of you for taking the mock and attending the session. I think it always motivates, it motivates us to motivate the people who are motivated. So uh, thanks for this support. So see you again next time with the next mock. April 16th, I guess, is the next mock, right?
What a sentence. What did you say? What did you say?
One time
that sentence is pre-motivated. It's just that it is always motivating to motivate students who are self-motivated.
How do you motivate someone who's self-motivated?
I don't know.
Self-motivated hai, but self-doubt bhi hai na, sir.
So you're basically saying that
Thank you,
you're
guys.
yeah, okay. Let's not do reading comprehension.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.